Stop watching the news and start making some. The Charlie Kirk Show.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Email us as always, freedom@charliekirk.com, and subscribe to our podcast. That is the Charlie Kirk Show podcast page. I want to tell you guys about YRefi. That is YRefi.com. That is YREFY.com. YRefi is amazing. I was just with them this last weekend. They help support our campus tour. They help support our Student Action Summit. They help support our Young Women's Leadership Summit. If you know anybody that is in serious private student loan debt, you should refer them to YRefi.com. If you go to YRefi.com, you could read testimonials from other people who have been where you are and how they've escaped. If you have a co-borrower, YRefi can get them released from the loan. You can give mom or dad a break. Go to YRefi.com, call 888-YRefi34, or log on to YRefi.com. So check it out right now at YRefi.com. That is YREFY.com. Let's face it, if you have a distressed or defaulted private student loan, nobody is coming to bail you out, and bankruptcy is not an option. Go to YRefi.com. That is YREFY.com. They can reduce your monthly payment and guarantees interest rates under 6%. So go to YRefi.com. Email us as always, freedom@charliekirk.com. Subscribe to our podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Email us, as always, freedom@charliekirk.com. Check out Senator Eric Schmitt's latest book, very important. The Last Line of Defense, How to Beat the Left in Court. Senator, right now, Zelensky is preparing to visit the White House. We had the Anchorage summit back on Friday. Your thoughts as a U.S. Senator on what President Trump is trying to accomplish here?
I'm just really grateful that we have a president that's engaged in diplomacy. That's what this whole thing is about. President Trump is trying to bring the parties together. He's trying to get to a peace deal. This thing is a meat grinder right now. It's a war of attrition. Over 1 million people have died, tens of thousands every month. And so he's trying to find some resolution. And I do think it's interesting. I was on Fox News Sunday last night and yesterday, and Jake Sullivan was on before me. And the criticism you hear from those in the mainstream media and on the left are coming from people that have been wrong about almost every foreign policy issue the last 30 years. Jake Sullivan and the Biden administration presided over the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, the actual invasion of Ukraine in 2023. And if you remember, he was also the one that was sitting there on the stage on October 2nd, 2023, and proclaimed that the Middle East was as quiet as it's been in decades. And 5 days later, you saw what happened on October 7th. So these folks have gotten it wrong. The plan under Biden was just keep sending American money over there without a plan and have a blank check, no accountability. Don't ask the Europeans to step up. And President Trump has changed that, thankfully, to say, you know what, we need to bring this war to a negotiated peace. Step one was engaging Putin. Step two now is engaging Zelensky and other European allies. And then I'm sure there'll be a step three here where the parties come together and hopefully something can work out. But this doesn't happen overnight. As you know, Charlie, this is like real work. This isn't some white paper. Mm-hmm. This is personalities. These are national interests. And he's trying to bring the parties together.
And it's very telling. Putin flies all the way across the landmass of Asia to come to United States soil. The response from the media, of course, they're undermining.
Yeah.
They're consistently undermining President Trump's attempts to try and seek reconciliation and peace. Let's play cut 326. I want you to respond. I know you have to be very respectful in this way. Respond, though, to your colleague, Senator Chris Murphy. He had a completely different reading, a different universe, and I do think it's worthy to have your response here. Play cut 326, please.
That meeting was a disaster. It was an embarrassment for the United States. It was a failure. Putin got everything he wanted. I mean, first of all, he wanted that photo op, right? He wanted to be absolved of his war crimes in front of the world. He was invited to the United States. War criminals are not normally invited to the United States. President Trump said he wanted a ceasefire. It appears the ceasefire wasn't even seriously discussed. And then third, there's no consequences. Trump said, if I don't get a ceasefire, Putin's going to pay a price. And then he walked out of that meeting saying, I didn't get a ceasefire. I didn't get a peace deal. And so Putin walks away with his photo op with zero commitments made and zero consequences. What a great day for Russia.
Okay, first of all, how does he know any of that? He was not in the room or associated. Your response, Senator Eric Schmitt.
I mean, the Democrats on this point in particular are totally intellectually bankrupt. They have no ideas. They don't have a plan. The follow-up question should have been, Senator Murphy, what do you propose we do about it to bring the war's end? They don't have an answer. I sit in the Senate. I listen to these guys talk on the Senate floor about how, you need to stand up to Putin and we need to do, their way hasn't worked. Like, Ukraine's not on the verge of victory here, right? This is a meat grinder. Sadly, that is the deal. So there have to be like adult conversations, and you have to be willing to engage people that you don't want necessarily to date your daughter, right? Like, that's what the real world is, and that's what real diplomacy is. And I think what they're really objecting to, Charlie, is a shift in foreign policy here. From this kind of Wilsonian adventurism, this globalist view that America should be the cop on the beat everywhere, and we don't have our own core national interests. What the president is doing is reorienting all of that to say our role here is to try to bring these two parties together. Because in the United States, life will go on. This is not, President Trump wants peace here. But having the European allies step up a little bit more, if you really believe that Vladimir Putin is some existential threat to Europe, then you ought to be acting like it. You ought to be providing more for your own defense. And, our subsidization to the degree that's out of balance of NATO has to be rebalanced. We basically subsidize their social welfare programs in Europe. All of that has to change, and President Trump's that change agent. And so I'm glad that he's willing. To me, it's a demonstration of strength and confidence that an American leader would take that on. Joe Biden, first of all, couldn't stand up to even do that. His handlers wouldn't do it because in many ways, all this invasion happened on their watch and they had no real, plan. So anyway, I just think this is all part of Trump derangement syndrome. Whatever he does, they take the opposite view. They're for crime in D.C. now. I mean, It's just insane.
We got to go.
So.
Senator Eric Schmitt, thank you so much. Check out the latest book by Senator Eric Schmitt. It's terrific. It is on the last line of defense, how to beat the left in court. Thank you so much, Senator Schmitt. We're going to talk more about NATO, Ukraine with Matthew Whitaker next.